we're live.
Nah, now the stream is live. At
Okay.
6:01, we're late.
Oh no,
Yes. And Missing Mars already here,
we're already
Yeah.
here.
inquiring about his no prize.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about getting scam stuff from Instagram and TikTok. The
That's
one I
right.
got this, I don't know if I mentioned it last week or the week before, but there was one I got from, and I usually get them for Instagram through my email. Like, because you have your email, I have I have one of my email addresses in Instagram. So
Right.
one I don't use for like anything else. That's why I know it's coming through Instagram, my Radiant Comics email address. And it took me a few minutes to figure out what it was. It was something about a cruise and how I was a comic book influencer and how I could make, if I wanted to host a comic book cruise, I could, they pay anywhere from 10 to 20K per cruise, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what? Are they making me an offer? I couldn't figure out if they were making me an offer or not, which
Yeah.
I didn't think they were. But it was really it took me a couple of reads to realize what I think they were doing was they booked cruises. So if I wanted to have a comic book cruise where I was the influencer, I could use them and they would book the whole cruise. And I guess if I got enough people, I would get my 10K or 20K. But it was up to me to bring the customers to them. So I was like, I get it
Right.
now. They're
They
not
wanted
offering me money.
Yeah, they wanted you to become the Avon lady.
Yes.
Pretty much. The scam that I got offered this week, that it was both the both my my not understanding what was happening made me go, this got to be a scam because it's not
Yeah.
well done.
Because when you get confused, you're like, what's going on here? Something doesn't
Yeah.
seem right.
It's like you're not putting real effort. So I got an email on my Gmail account. So I'm guessing this might have come from Instagram. I'm not positive.
Right.
So they show me an image and ask, is this still available? Hi, is this still available? And I was like, they send me an image of a piece of artwork that I did the pre-press for.
Ah.
And it is a digital comic book. This is just the cover. And the cover is of a character that was made for a client whose her own email address and where you could buy said item is on.
Uh-huh.
So you're sending me a photo of a cover that is made for the purpose of advertising the artist. I had nothing to do with it other than physically put it together
Right.
and gave it to the artist. Now, it could very well be in one of my samples somewhere. It's either a Facebook sample or an Instagram sample.
Yep.
But the image, it's like, is this art still available? And it was like, so I was saying that I do not have this artwork. The booklet wasn't in print. It was specially created for the artist for members of her mailing list.
Right.
I don't have copies of this. So in order for you to get this piece of artwork, to read this book, you had to be a member of her mailing list from a while back. Because this is an old one too. Because every month she would take all her sketches from the month, put them together in a booklet, and show and give it to her to as a PDF
Right.
to her clientele, to the people that is already on her mailing list, as I mentioned. So on this item that she sent me is the artist's Facebook name, where you can email them on Twitter, where you can email them on Instagram, or you could go right to the website and purchase not that particular artwork or similar artwork. So I mentioned I don't have any of these. If you want to purchase anything, go to that artist's website. So you figured, okay, I'm done. If it's a legit, I get another email. The email says, "Can you work on something similar for me?" And it's like, I'm that's where it's like, this is a scam because I'm not going to draw someone else's character in their style,
It
that
has
type of
nothing to
thing.
do with that. I've run into this scam. What did it? You probably you did you get any further than that with them? No, because you weren't
I
drawing anything with
No, because I sent back something like something to the this is not my art style. This is not the way I work. Or
Right.
no, actually, I might have just left it at no. And
Here's
then
what was gonna happen. I know because this happened.
okay,
I can't remember the exact scheme. Same thing. Instagram. I got a direct message.
uh huh,
Hey, I like this piece. Can I buy it? Because I posted some of my art, and I was immediately a little suspicious.
right,
But I was like, sure, you can buy it. They're like, oh, what's the price? I give them a price. I don't even remember, 100, 200, whatever it was.
yeah,
They're like, oh, okay, I'd like to buy it. And then what it was, there was some problem with their PayPal. Could I do this? And I forget what they wanted me to do, but that was the scam.
yeah,
Them trying to pay you, they got money out of you somehow. That was the scam. I can't remember what. Could you put accept all people for da da da? I can't remember the exact scam was, but it was them getting
right.
them
Them
saying
getting
they were
you
going to
to
buy the artwork, but then they're
right,
like, "Oh, there's a problem with my PayPal. Can you do this for me?"
right,
And it's like, and whatever they want you to do for them leaves you open to be stolen from.
right.
That's what it was. So that's what they were doing to you. They
Yeah.
just, missed out because it wasn't your artwork. But if you had said yes, you probably would have got the same thing I got. Well, my PayPal's down. Could you do this for me? I'm like, no,
Oh,
see ya.
yeah, exactly. It's like, and, and it's like I know like the other ones that I've run into, and again on Instagram,
Yeah.
where this the reverse now, where they're the artist that wants to
Ah.
do work for you, and what they're doing is they're stealing artwork, making their own portfolio, and then trying to get you to hire them to draw something. And so it'll be like, oh, because I'm on there as a publisher, with the Section 8 comics that I publish comic books. And so on Instagram, it's like, oh, could you look at my artwork? Okay. Uh, so you looked at my artwork. Yeah, it was nice. It's like, you want to hire me? No. And they always get offended. It's like, why don't you want to hire me? So I'm not looking to get art at the moment. And you're not, you're showing me pinups. You're not showing me that you can tell a story. And it's like, or it's like, can I show you my portfolio? And it's like, yes. Okay, just go to here. I don't want to see it on your portfolio. The Instagram images are too small. You have a website? Well, no, we don't need a website. Everything's on Instagram. I'm not hiring you if you don't have a website. And you never hear back from them because it's like, at least, I understand there are great scams out there that people get caught up in, and it's
Oh,
messed up.
yeah.
It's messed up. But you would get some scams that it's like, this is obviously scams.
Yeah.
It's too obvious that it's
It's
like,
obvious to you and me, though. It's not obvious to everyone. That's
it
just
may not. Yes, that's true too.
the
Because it's at that point they're playing the numbers game.
I mean, I was immediately suspicious because strangers don't send me messages saying they want to buy a piece of my art. They just don't. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
But
I get when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, you're a colorist, right?" It's like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Oh, I love your artwork." And it's like, "All right." They're either thinking I'm Humberto, they're either thinking I'm Rodney. And I did have one person who was like, "Oh, I loved your work on Wolverine." And it's like, "Oh crap, this guy actually like out of all the others, I actually did speak to someone who ran a convention and wanted me to go to the convention. And it turned out it's like, all right, I can go if pay for the following. Because I have no way if it's someplace in the
right.
tri-state area I could drive to, perfectly fine. You happen to comp my table, I'll go to any show. but it's like, but the moment I have to pay, more than $20 to get somewhere, I need someone else to pay for that. And it
Yeah,
turned out that his show was too far away. But it's like, oh, this isn't a scam. This is actually a person who got my name correctly and then know the books I actually worked on. So it's like, oh wow, an actual fan. But that's one in like so many other
right.
either
Or at least
scams
a
or
professional who looked you up.
yes, at least smart enough to look me up.
Right.
It's like, he might have, if he paid for the plane ticket, he might have been able to harness my organs because that was the scam the whole time. But he cheaped out. So
And speaking of storytelling, my big comic came in this week. This
ooh,
is A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. It's issue 1 and 2. It's the artist proof edition, giant-sized artist proof edition, and it's in black and white. Let me pull it out of this.
And Andre is drawing like Jiro Taniguchi.
Yes, very much. He's the Japanese artist who did those A Walk Through the Neighborhood books. Because there's a lot of sort of there was our name Rick Remender, and was it Andre Lima Araujo?
Yep.
Is he Brazilian?
Portuguese.
Portuguese? Yeah, and he's drawing very Japanese. I bought this series in regular size. I think it was 10 issues, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And this is the first, and it also in the back has where is it? Layouts. So you get to see his layouts for the book. But they're pretty intricate for layouts. You get to see there's a couple of pages of inks that are done like an artist edition where you get to see, a little of the underdrawing in there. But he doesn't have a ton of that. And there's some character design stuff.
Well, Andre doesn't hide his love for manga and anime, and it's even his magnum opus,
and
which he wrote.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy looks like an actor I recognize, but I don't know his name.
the actor that plays Wong, maybe.
Could be.
I mean, that's who he looks like.
Yeah, that's who he. Maybe that's who I think it looks like. Yeah, the actor who plays Wong in. But wow, first of all, reading it this size, I felt like a kid. I was just like giant book, and it was also good because, like I said, there's that artist who does, I forget what the style is called, but he did like a walk through neighborhood, the Japanese artist, and it's just a character walking around the neighborhood the whole book. And there's a lot of that in here because a lot of the time he's just walking around the neighborhood. So there's that feel to it, and then he gets involved with some assassin stuff. But here's my giant 11x17 Mylar.
Yeah, of course. Andre is even though sometimes he may not look, it is very manga influenced. He wrote and drew himself the Man Plus, which is basically his take on Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, like I said, I liked the original. I always wanted to pick up one of these artist proof editions, but they're always a little too expensive. I forget who it was on mine. I said they're usually $15, but this is a double-sized one, so it was $25. But his art I wanted to see big. Oh, if it isn't,
my booth fee last week was $900 for 4 days. How the hell are you supposed to make money?
Next week is $125. Fares and vengeance will kill you. Oh, that's right. Tit Goblin wasn't here last week. He got accused of being a CGC spy, I believe. I can't remember the context now.
A CGC spy?
I can't remember the context of the discussion we were having.
It's about we were talking about making the Fake Action Comics #1.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, Benedict Wong, who played Master
Yes.
Lin in the TV series.
There
did
we
that.
go.
All right.
That's who it looks like.
Mhm.
Benedict Wong. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I mean, there's 10 issues of it. I think those are the only 2 that were going to be in that format. But if they put out like a giant format version of it, I'd get the whole thing. And it's
Yeah, that
the
thing's bigger
original's
than
in color
European
too.
size.
This one's in black.
That thing's bigger than European size.
Yeah, it's 11. It's bigger than a Treasury edition. It's 11 by 17. I think Treasury editions are 11 by 14. 11 by 17 is around the same size as the original art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured it would be.
So, like I said, it was. I really enjoyed reading it again. I want to read the whole series again, so I'm going to pull it out and read it.
How easy is it to create a comic in the same size as the original art?
Easy. I mean, there's no difference.
Not really.
The only reason you do the original art bigger is so it tightens up when it shrinks down. So if you want to get a little more sort of realism to your artwork, shrinking it down makes it tighter. That's the reason they do it bigger. And most people work better bigger.
What single issues from the last 40 years would you like to see a proof edition for?
Maybe, let's see. What would be good? I actually, I don't want to buy it, but I want to see it. Is that David Finch book that I got a couple of weeks ago? They're putting out a Treasury edition size. So it's 11 by 14. So it's not quite 11 by 17. And I think it's full color, but it's on like a matte paper. I haven't actually seen it. I think it's $15 an issue. I kind of want to get an issue, but like I don't want to pay $15 for it. I don't like David Finch that much, but I want to see and I'd rather see it on a sharper, a paper that can get a sharper image. Especially if it's going to be full color. But let's see. Maybe
the Conan Red Nail special.
Is that?
It's Barry Windsor Smith when he came back.
Is that within 40 years?
No, it's 82.
They have an artist edition of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. It's not quite an artist edition. Someone else published it, but it's the same thing as an artist edition. So you can get Red Nails as the original artwork. So that already exists. But it's probably out of print and expensive now. Right. I would like to see some Frank Quitely. Maybe one of Jupiter's Legacy.
Right. Or the multiversity version of Watchmen that he did.
Yeah, that was nice.
Because you see all of the things about he disassembling the dog and putting it back together.
That is the one issue of that I got.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say like almost anything from Jeff Darrow, but I think he prints everything oversized anyway.
Yeah. The Goblin sells bootleg plastic cases to Estonia for Department H.
Someone here ratted me out last week when I was away.
Yeah.
Skinbreaker. That's the name of the David Finch one, Skinbreaker.
Because I never got around to liking David Finch.
Neither have I. I mean, I haven't bought much David Finch. Skinbreaker might have been the first David Finch I actually bought. And he was doing the artwork at least twice. I think he was doing the artwork 16 by 20. At least twice up, I think it was. And seeing the artwork shrunk down actually made it a little claustrophobic for me. So I'd like to see it at 11 by 17. But like I said, I think the Treasury ones are 11 by 14. And yeah, he says I'm buying the big size, but I'm not as big as the Treasury. How's the printing on it? I'm sure the printing's fine, but I know it's on a matte paper, uncoated. So, yes, I actually bought that Nightwing. That would be a good one. Who drew Nightwing 87? He did it as one continuous panel, so everything was like a double page spread, and Nightwing walked throughout. Somehow I got the fireworks in there. And Nightwing walked all the way through. Yeah, that was an interesting. I bought that just because I read about it and was like, oh, that sounds cool to buy.
There was an artist edition of Quietly Superman, but it was regular comic size.
Ah. Maybe he doesn't work big. I don't know.
Harry P says Bruno Redondo did the Nightwing.
Okay. Yeah, that one would be a good one, too. I would like that. Let's see. What else would there? I'm trying to think of...
Tit Goblin suggests Paramus by Juan Sasturain.
Don't know that one.
What is Paramus? Let's see. Paramus. Asmodeus. It seems like we're summoning a demon.
Yeah. Is Tit Goblin trying to get us to cast spells and accidentally summon a demon? What's he up to? First, he's ratting on us to CGC. Next, he's trying to get us in trouble with the devil.
It's Alberto Breccia. It's Argentinian. Let me see if I can get a decent page to show here. All right, so there's a page here that's for sale.
Because if it's going to be like an artist proof edition, it can't be a guy so big that he's already got an artist edition, or we'll get one soon.
All right, I think I'll be able to show this.
You know what I'd like to see as an artist proof edition? Some of that Lee Weeks Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I only remember looking at it, and I don't know if I have much of it, but I remember it being really nice. I don't know that Lee Weeks is going to get an artist edition anytime soon.
My go-to is usually always Michael Golden, but there's plenty of stuff.
Yeah, there's already a Michael Golden artist edition, so.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the thing that Tit Goblin was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not very big, sorry. It's already, can't do much more than this. So this is Alberto Breccia, is the famous Argentinian artist, but is not famous in the United States because he doesn't work. He never worked in American comics on a regular basis. His son is currently an artist. Breccia created a lot of stuff. Let me see if I can find the. Yeah, Paramus is 83, right? He worked with Carlos Trejo on something called Buscavidas. Yeah. And he worked on the Eternaut with Ustrel. Oh, and his most famous work, Mort Cinder from the 1960s. Yeah, I think that one exists in the U.S. Mort Cinder.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's an interesting choice.
Maybe an issue or two of Craig Thompson's Ginseng Roots, because that was published small anyway. To see it bigger would be interesting. I think I'd like to see that. Shrunk down the comics like Jeff Darrow and Art Adams had a detailing contest. Well, that's the Skinbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
High Society large would be great. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Astro City number 2. Astro City number 2. Which one is that? So number 1.
Number 1 was Superman. I think 2 was Batman. I don't remember it though.
Not sure. Astro City 2. Maybe it's the Astro City number 2.
I could also go for the Hernandez brothers issues of Mr. X.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
trying to
like to
think
see
of.
that big in black and white.
Yeah, I think everybody's thinking of detailed artists that they like to see
Yeah.
big.
Yeah,
Uh,
so my other reaction is Bernie Wrightson.
That's why I won for some graphic designy guys.
Yeah.
Astro City #2, features the first appearance of the Silver Agent, so it's Captain America actually.
No.
Right. Now I remember the story. Yeah,
He describes it down below. Yeah.
It's part of my bootlegs. Yeah, journalists sing the bell in the subway. Exactly. Yeah, I remember that now.
I still don't. It's been a while.
I do.
I vaguely remember it.
Okay, so the Perry White, the version of Perry White in Astro City, invites this new reporter to go to his office, and he's taking a look at all the awards that the editor won. And then there's one newspaper clipping about something very minor that he's skipping there because it's his first published independent report that he did on his own, because he saw something that was supposedly big, but he didn't have ways to fact check, and he worked with his own editor back in the day to get it all, to make sure that it was print worthy with things that he could check. And in the end, it was like this big story was narrowed down to the facts that he could confirm. And that's what he tells the new reporter the story of what happened that day. And he explains why he couldn't publish it, and he agrees.
I
So it's
kind of
actually a pretty good
lost
story.
track of Astro City.
Yeah.
It was funny because I don't know, it must have been 10 years ago. Astro City, hello, comic collector. Astro City was coming out in like mini series, and I was buying them issue by issue, and I kind of got tired of keeping track. And I think then it switched over to DC/Vertigo for its last run. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm tired of keeping track of miniseries. Why don't I just buy it in trade paperback form?
Right.
And then I kind of lost track of that. And the issues, then the series went on for like 50 issues.
Yeah.
And I think I bought 3 trade paperbacks from that series and never read them. They're still on my shelf somewhere because I lost track of which paperbacks I needed to read.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that DC no longer has that policy of keeping everything in print.
No. So it's like, man, I should have just put it on my pull list. I would have read them all.
I'm sure you can find them. I mean,
I'm sure I got 3 of them on my shelf. I just haven't read them because I don't know which 3 at this point. And I got them in a couple different spots.
You know these fan favorite independent long running series.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to a point where they only appeal to the guys who are there from the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're not selling as well.
No.
They're part of the landscape. Everybody's heard of them.
Right.
But there are fewer people trying them out.
Because it is so hard to get your average comic fan to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to, too. It's like, it is so hard to get someone who's used to buying Spider-Man to buy Astro City, even if they've heard of it, even if they know Kurt Busiek, even if they know Brent Anderson and Alex Ross. It is so hard to get them to try something new.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because I did manage to buy one Astro City trade paperback like 20 years ago.
Right.
And then it took me 4 years to buy the second one. And then it was like another 6 years before I finally got around to buying the next 4. Because I remember that I bought 4 of them all after each other.
Right.
And until finally the last ones because I think that the Silver Agent ones, the Dark Age.
Oh yeah.
It came out because it was a long mini series, 16 issues. Came out as 2 trades.
Think I have the issues of that.
Yeah, and because of those, I managed to finally let's buy Astro City now because I can.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's weird. Like with me, as I've said before, once something gets on my pull list, it hardly ever gets off. But when everything's miniseries, that's a whole. I have to make sure to keep putting it on my pull list, which gets tiresome.
Yeah,
and I might miss. Yeah,
there are stores that if they know something is a series of miniseries, they will keep the series of miniseries.
My store usually does that, but not always, because their systems are automated. And nowadays, it's easy enough for me to put it on because I get the email. But back when Astro City, 10 years ago, he didn't have the same system.
Yeah, Astro City has everything in Metro Books now. So if you want to buy Astro City and you don't want to figure out the reading order, they have their own. Music has his own versions of Epic collections, which are called Metro Books.
Well, the problem with me specifically with Astro City is now I got to figure out what I have and what I don't have. I actually have to sit down and do that.
But that's the thing with trade paperbacks. You don't have to figure out what you have and you don't have. You just have to trade paperback.
Well, no, I don't know which trade paperbacks I have. I got to find the trade paperback. Then I have issues too. Yeah. But I probably have at least 6 Astro City trade paperbacks. Which 6? I don't know. And I have at least, 40 issues worth of Astro City. Mm-hmm. Which 40 issues? I don't know. Yeah. I'd have to look it up. So I could easily find out, but I'd still have to do it. And it's easier.
Cavern says he wants to see all the diorama stuff that Dave McKean did for Vertigo. How much stuff is that?
Those covers, those weird covers that he did.
There's a collection
and all
of them.
That. Is there?
Yeah, there's a collection of them, of all the covers he did for Sandman. I still want to. I don't think I've reread Cages. I still have that on my shelf. The issues of it. I haven't. I don't know when the last time I read it was. I don't know if I ever read it twice because I always meant to read it again, but I don't think I actually have. Do you know that one? Dave McKean Cages he did in the 90s. 10 issues, magazine format, his own writing and story. Don't ask me what the story was about. It was weird. That's all I remember.
I don't recall it at all.
Yeah. Well, Astro City #1 should be a slam dunk to hand to Superman fans. Well, the problem with getting people to pick up Astro City is not whether they're Superman fans or Spider-Man fans. They have to be superhero fans in general and be in love with reading about the concept of being superheroes. Yeah. Because Astro City is an anthology with different characters, and in many cases it's the eye on the street, so it's not specifically about the hero. It's about how the hero interacts with the world around him. So sometimes the point of view comes from a civilian.
That
like
I can't tell you the last time I ran into a Superman fan.
And the other thing is that when a character, if someone's a fan of a character, they are a fan of that character. Yeah. And may not even be a fan of the artists and writers. They may not even know the artists and writers exist. They just want that particular character.
That's a problem.
Astro City does also have the problem of people trying to figure out, is this supposed to be Superman? Is this supposed to be Batman? Is this supposed to be someone else? And it falls into a cynical mind of going, oh, these guys really want to write those other superheroes that they can't, so they're writing these. And it's so wrong to think about it, but I've heard too many people think that way.
Yeah.
Where I've even remember reading their letter pages, and someone was trying to make a list. Is this supposed to be that? Is this supposed to be that? And the creator's like, no, these are their own characters. This is a bad list in that kind of a way.
There are people who don't want to read knockoff Superman.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's right, but it's not a knockoff Superman. The
Oh, I
thing
know
is,
it's not.
No,
I know it's not.
we
You
know
know
it's
it's not.
not because we were
right?
there at
People
the
are
beginning.
overthinking this. The
Yes.
Oh no, they're
people are not.
underthinking it. They're not overthinking it. They're underthinking it.
No, you're not. Yes, but no, they're
Yeah.
overthinking because they're fixating on the. This is Superman and Silver Age is Captain America and the First Family are the Fantastic Four. Yes, we get it. That's not the point. The point is to figure out stories that you can tell with these characters, which are of course based on that ones. But the idea is to go off brand, is to go sideways in the story in ways that the big two would never go, because there are implications to being Superman, which is what the Astro City #1 is all about.
Right.
He dreams of flying. He can't because it takes him a quarter of a second to get halfway around the world. He's not flying. He's just there. And so the implication that it's not fun for Superman to fly, and we don't get that in the Superman comic.
Right.
It has to be explored through the eyes of a superhero fan who who has a way of getting into characters' heads that is not that is not typical of how writers approach superheroes.
Because Superman is an intellectual property.
Right.
Right, exactly.
But
So then you have that kind of a problem where, I think too many people would also don't know how to describe a book to someone. And then they'll go, well, if you like superhero stuff, you're going to like this because it's like superhero stuff, but it's not. And I've watched way too many people do that where they'll, you know, s- s- you have the thing with with the Authority when that came
Mhm.
out, and books like that where these are doing really good. Then you had like the Ultimates came from that because the Authority did their version of the Avengers in such a way where people are like, we want these to be our Avengers.
Mhm.
And eventually we did, and we got them as the Ultimates, which wasn't that great when that began because it was like, now you're trying to be the Authority. So it's kind of like what becomes popular in one area trickles down and it perverts what was supposed to be there. I think the same thing with like Dark Knight Returns, where it was like it became popular, so all superheroes should be dark.
Mhm.
And then you have that kind of weird
Yeah.
fluctuation of what's
Once
popular, what's good, and then where it goes from there.
once something becomes popular and people start copying it, all bets are off.
Yeah.
New
Still
status.
on the concept of the oversized editions. T. Glevin says Havoc and Wolverine in its original size would be cool. I
That
don't
was
know.
the painted edition from
Yeah,
the Epic line.
yeah, Meltdown. Here's the thing. That's not beautiful artwork.
But I
It's
found it
interesting.
compelling to look at.
Yes,
And
With
they
the
and
but
things that are
also
bigger.
they were really when we said before when I said before when the artwork shrinks down, it tightens up. That technique they were using really takes advantage of that, like that painting watercolor technique. So if you were to see it big and blown up, you might be less impressed by it if you don't know that kind of
yeah,
thing. You have
I
to,
thought about it. And it's not even a question of of the technique for me. When you blow up watercolors, you notice where where the paint didn't enter the paper
right.
because
That's part of a watercolor, but that's not necessarily part of comics.
Right.
right.
As a painter, I would be interested in looking
Yeah.
at it. I don't know if others would be.
Right. Right.
Right.
That's
If
where
you
that gets weird. Not weird, but
right, if
that's
you want
where
to if you want to read the story really big, that thing's going to become distracting. As Lefty says, Astro City going between publishers and such delays, it was hard
Yeah.
to follow what the story order was. Yeah, I remember one time because when Kurt Busiek was in the about first and second year of the Avengers, He was on our mailing list for Avengers fans, called the West Coast Avengers mailing list, and there were a lot of "Hey Kurt" email exchanges because we have the writer here. Let's take advantage of that. So people asked him about Astro City, even though this was supposed to be about the Avengers,
Right.
and he did. And of course, most people respected the rule, dropping a little comment about Astro City once in a while. It's okay, but just badgering Kurt about Astro City is not. And he mentioned, hey, he was quite open about it because he didn't mention it publicly. But he has a Kurt Busiek always had a very nasty sinus condition.
I remember him writing about that.
Yeah, and that
in Astro
gives
City.
him, yeah, and that gives him massive headaches.
Yeah.
So he can't concentrate to write standard superhero fare, which he had in the Avengers and Iron Man, which with the two titles he was writing during the Hero's Return. But he explained that getting into the correct mindset to write Astro City requires a different
more
type of concentration. Exactly, and he couldn't do it. So instead of just, it's creator owned. It's his money that he loses if he's not making it. It's probably not good for Brent Anderson either. But then again, Brent Anderson was never that fast. But yeah, he would put Astro City on hold in a way that he would write a little here and there until he had a bunch of issues in the can, and then he would put them out bi-monthly, just to make sure that when he started the storyline, you would at least end the storyline in a timely fashion.
What's the last thing Brent Anderson did that wasn't Astro City?
Ooh,
I'm trying to think.
I do not
I can't think of anything.
I haven't been keeping an eye on stuff like that.
You're right, Wilson. They get hurt and say, "Well, Luke Skywalker wouldn't do that."
Well, my Luke Skywalker wouldn't do that.
There's a guy from the 90s that did painted layered cardboard covers for Dark Horse and Vertigo. You guys may have known him professionally. His stuff would be great, large, active online these days.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar.
I am not too sure who was working on large cardboard covers. I know the Cubers were experimenting with drawing on cardboard for a while. Cardboard, construction paper. It was like, oh, we're going to draw on this week. Don't know why. They just went through like this little phase. But I don't know who else might have been working on cardboard.
Yeah, besides Dave McKean, who else was the go-to cover artist for Vertigo in the 90s?
I don't know. Was Glenn Fabry doing stuff like that?
No, Glenn Fabry was doing painted artwork.
Yeah, I think he did painted artwork, but not like that, I don't think.
Yeah,
Not that I could recall.
Yeah, so I really don't know. Maybe the guy who did 2020 Visions. I don't know.
I'm looking over at my shelf, and Jason Lutz Berlin I'd like to see in giant size artist proof edition.
Simon Bisley, the Lord of Vertigo. Okay. Yeah, but he's not the one doing those cardboard covers, right?
Simon did with full paintings.
Yeah. What was Brent Anderson doing? Let's see if we can find that in Mike's Amazing World.
I can't remember him doing anything but Astro City. I don't know, the last 20 years. I think
even by the 90s.
When I think of Brent Anderson, I think of Somerset Holmes. That was the 80s.
Ooh, that was cool, yeah. They're never going to reprint that. Okay, so yeah, he did Strike Force Morituri. And after that...
That is like the third time that title has come up this month with me. I may have to revisit it. It's just for some reason that keeps popping up.
Yeah, I guess he had a period outside comics because after '88, okay, so there's he did the Punisher movie special. That was him. Wow, and that was in That was a one shot in 1990. He does the in 92. He does one issue of Legends of the Dark Knight. Then in 94, he does one issue of Hard Case for Malibu. And then he does a Superman two-parter. Battleground, the Battle for Metropolis storyline. He did a Judge Dredd mini in 94. Interesting. And then there's a couple of Bloodshots, and after that it's Astro City.
Wow, so it's Astro City.
Yeah, he does a few things here and there, especially when Astro City's on hiatus. Superboy Annual in 97. One issue of Aragonis' Fanboy. Some stuff for the Paradox Press big books. Star Wars Chewbacca. Yeah, a few things here and there. Yeah, but nothing ongoing. Yeah. So unless you're specifically looking for it, you missed it. Love Somerset Home. Still missing a few. There are only 6.
Yeah, there's only 6 issues, so you're missing half of it. Was there ever a collected edition of Somerset Holmes?
First 3 issues, I think.
Okay.
Still at Eclipse. So Brent Henderson has done some covers in the last 5 years, but other than Astro City, has done much more. Yeah, and all of these veterans are only doing covers because they don't have the time and energy for a monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is 70. And I mean, not to say that that's old, as some artists continue working, but he might just be working, he might be at that point where it's like he's going to pick and choose what he really wants to work on.
Ted Goblin says Tom Taggart is the cardboard guy. Doom Patrol number 59 is a good example of his style.
Tom Taggart. I don't remember that name.
As we all go silent as we're typing his name into the database to check out what book he's worked on.
Eric P says he did Astro City. That was then number 1 in 2022. Well, still trying to do whatever they can on Astro City. I'm not sure that Kurt Busiek has what kind of a plan Kurt Busiek has right now, but I think he at this stage he probably has an idea, and if it works, he'll do a mini-series. Donald Rex late to the party? No. We still have a ways to go. You can stick around. I have lots more to talk about.
Lots more to talk about.
Yeah, all you could find in the $1 boxes. Yeah.
So I'm looking up Taggart's work, and it's like I've seen every single one of these covers, and I don't think it ever dawned to me that he was working and basically making things out of cardboard. I thought it was just wild artwork that other than the covers, it's like I remember that cover. I remember that cover. That was a nice cover, but not enough, unfortunately, not enough to make me go, let me look up who did this and let me look up his other artwork. And he has wonderful artwork. So yes, I guess he deserves a book because I've owned a ton of these covers, but again, it was one of those, there's a couple of Swamp Thing covers. It would be like, it's Swamp Thing. Let me read the book because the cover, wasn't what drove me into it. It would be like one of those things like mentioning Sandman. I was picking up the book and the cover made no sense anyway. So to me, I would look at it and go, oh, that's pretty, and not look at it again.
Eric is also looking up stuff. So that one issue of All New X-Men in 2014 and Action Comics in 2011. So number 2, that was probably around the New 52. Missing Mars says, like the vid peeps. Yes, like the video. Go there, smash. I sound like a regular YouTuber. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
It helps the algorithm.
That's right. You'll get more content like this. What I would
So,
like to see, speaking about, books being big and stuff like that, I wouldn't mind actually seeing some of the books from the 70s reprinted on the better paper we have now, just to see how it should have looked. Because the funny thing is like, yeah, a lot of them are already done in trade paperbacks. But I've
oh,
been
you mean like a Fantastic Four facsimile edition?
something similar to that, but at a
Yes.
lower price point.
Ah,
Because I feel like
lower price point.
it
You
should be
dreamer.
they should
Like
those should be the new $1 books.
the Impossible Man trips over the UPC symbol.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See, those should be dollar books reprinted on that
Well,
nicer paper, nicer,
they
not
did
great
do
or better,
that. They
nicer
did do
paper.
that for a little while, then they stopped. I think they stopped during COVID, didn't they? Stop putting out their dollar book reprints.
They probably did, unfortunately,
I
around
know
that
because I
time.
was buying them and then they stopped.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of Discord on Facebook, especially where people are like, why does it look better colored back then than it does now? It's like, but it didn't look better back then. It is bad back then. You sitting there, you could see through the black,
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, you would see some reprinted and go, wow, I didn't realize how good the artwork was back then. It doesn't even have to be printed in color. You could print the $1 black and white books just to see the sharpness of the artwork from those time periods that
Yeah.
weren't really being, touched again.
Yeah. Kirby and the Essentials look great.
yeah.
Every
Yeah, they're
piece
not
has
going to print
rising.
those again because
Yeah.
not enough
Rising.
profit.
Every piece has Rising Stars Untouchable. Looks like Anderson's last ongoing series back in 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember Rising Stars? It was going to be the next Watchmen.
Yeah. Was
Nope.
that Straczynski?
Yeah. And as
Rising
he was
Stars.
busy with something else and he didn't finish the series.
Right. I heard a lot of good things about it. I think I read a little of it eventually. It was okay.
Fifth Goblin recommends you reread Strike Force Moriarty Wilson.
Strike Force Wilson. I don't remember that one. Is that
Strike Force Wilson.
spin-off of?
We were about to die. Salute you. I did enjoy Strike Force Mortuary.
Yeah.
I got to go back to see if I can dig out those books. Let's see. That's S. Ooh, that's going to be like at the bottom of the comic book closet.
Bang Endless reprints of books already on his site. Yes.
I don't think I've read this issue. I'm pretty sure I read the first Impossible Man story in some reprint 30 or 40 years ago, but I completely forgotten it. And I don't remember there's two stories in this. There's a 10-pager, an 11-pager that's all about Stu's birthday. It like recaps their origin.
Mm-hmm.
They
Right. That's the story where Willie Lumpkin brings in the mail.
yeah, Willie Lumpkin show. The thing gets cured for a couple of pages.
Mm-hmm.
They meet people in the street. They meet kids in the street playing the Fantastic Four. So the first story is 11 pages. The next story is 11 pages with the Impossible Man, who's basically an imp, and they defeat the Impossible Man by boring him.
I vaguely remember that. What issue?
What
is
a
that?
weird story.
Number 11.
Issue
11 with
So
two
even by
11-page
11, they were still doing those two stories, those 10 and 11-page stories.
Yeah.
No,
So
they
would
only did
they
that for number. They only did that for number 11. I think Kirby didn't have an idea for Stent to rip off.
So he had to come up with two ideas.
Yeah.
Because again, looking at the early Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, they were only those 10, 12-page stories, and I always felt like, were they supposed to be printed somewhere else?
That's
And
what
then this
people think now.
The Spider-Man stories were supposed to be printed somewhere else. We know that.
Yeah.
Those would have continued in Amazing Fantasy.
Right.
Yes. Everything that Stan Lee told you is a lie.
Yes, no, I understand that. But I'm just wondering what book would have it been? And would the
Amazing
Fantastic Four had ran into that as well?
Yeah, it's no the It's possible. I think Fantastic Four #1 was probably going to be on one of the anthologies, because the two stories, the first the first story as a part that was tacked on, and the second story seems to be missing pages.
And there's also I know Paolo just read this book too, the book that talks about how Kirby really wrote the original Fantastic Four issues.
Yeah.
And he points out once again how it should have taken someplace else. In the Mole Man story in Fantastic Four #1, the
Right.
Fantastic Four don't have superpowers.
Right.
So they think that was sort of a
Non-FF
original
story. Yeah.
story from one of the books, sort of like Challengers of the Unknown, where they didn't have superpowers, and then they added superpowers into the story. Because when you look at the story, there's no reason they don't use their powers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you remember that the Human Torch needs Reed to parachute him down.
Yeah.
Reed was not there, and why would the Human Torch just flame on and fly down?
Mm-hmm.
Everything in that story seems tacked on, and then the first story, The Origin, was invented after that.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that easily. Being a artist who had a story, get this not destroyed, get the funding pull out from under it. Now you have all these pages for nothing.
Yep.
Then reuse all that artwork, flip things around, and use it in another story. We've done that, so I could I could see that being something like we have this. Can we make something with that? Okay.
We paid for this art.
Yeah. Issues 2 and 3 have that weird chapter thing, but they're all the same story. And issue #2 probably may have been thought up for the anthologies. #3, they have power. They have costumes. So #3 is the one that they knew they were gonna have an ongoing title for an ongoing superhero title.
And I think he also said he was talking about Spider-Man and how probably the first couple of issues of Spider-Man were plotted by Kirby. And Ditko didn't take over plotting till, I don't know, 3, 4, whatever issue, when they stopped having those short half stories.
Yeah.
That's when Ditko takes over the plotting.
Right. When you stop having science fiction involved in the story, that's when Ditko takes over. We know that Kirby brought the concept of Spider-Man over because it was the Silver Spider that he was working on with Joe Simon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So issue #1 with him joining the FF. No, wait, that's the second story. Amazing Spider-Man #1 as a
Chameleon story, and then the FF story.
The Chameleon story needs the FF story. It's the John Jameson story. It's the #1.
Okay.
Right.
Where he goes up in the rocket, and he has and Jonah has already and Jonah comes in right off the bat claiming that Spider-Man is a crook, an imposter, a menace, and he has to go save John. That's the main story. Then it's the second one is the one with the FF. So that one, it looks like it was made to fill the comic because the main story has 14 pages and the second one has 10. And in issue #2, it's the same thing. The Tinkerer story is new, and the main one, Amazing Spider-Man #2, which was the Amazing Spider-Man #2.
I can't even remember. I haven't seen those in so long. It's like you mention them and I remember them, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Oh man, yeah. Especially because a lot of these I read them out of order.
Ah. Huh.
Okay, #2 is the Vulture. Yeah, okay. So
okay.
#2 is the Vulture. That story had been made.
Back when
Uh,
flying was a superpower, instead of
yeah.
everybody just having it.
And number two is the Tinkerer. It might even be that the Kirby had an idea for something else, and he tacked on Spider-Man in the story, because otherwise it's like a typical alien invasion story where one of the characters is not what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
So it might not, even though it was conceived later in order to fill up issue number two, it feels like it was made for something else as well. So okay, so number three is Octopus. Number four is Sandman. So that's still a Kirby story because you still have a character being created. Number five is Doctor Doom. So it's Kirby didn't have an idea, and okay, let's use. Number six is Lizard. So this is still science fiction, the transformation. Number seven, Vulture returns. Number eight, yeah. Number eight might be the first one. Antagonist is a living brain, and it also has a second story because it's the Spider-Man tackles the Torch. So yeah, number eight might be the first Ditko plot.
Mm-hmm. And Ditko wouldn't have known that Kirby was plotting them too. Stan
No,
Lee would have kept that from him.
I think they were talking at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. But if they weren't, he wouldn't have known, because that's what was going on in the 50s too. I know that Stan Lee would recycle plots from someone else.
Yeah, but
and the artist wouldn't actually know that Stan didn't plot it.
Mm-hmm. Right, but the idea how they worked at the time, there would be a line of scripts. They would be assigned. A freelance artist would come in and pick them up, and they didn't care where the story came from.
Nope.
Especially because a lot of those aren't signed, and it would be up to the artist to put in any credits in there if there was supposed to be, and there were no credits around.
Mm-hmm. So I got two last issues this week. Mm-hmm. The first of them being Grimm number 25. This is, who is this? Stephanie Phillips, the when-named artist Flaviano, Enrica Renzi. And this was an interesting wrap-up. I wasn't sure how they were going to wrap this up. This is the story of Grim Reapers. Like, there's a bunch of them. They just go around, collecting people as they die. And then one Grim Reaper, our main character, this woman, through that discovers that her father is really Death, who's in charge of the Grim Reapers, and he ends up dying, and she doesn't want to take over, yada, 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 goes on a trip to hell. But it was like an issue-to-issue thing, and there were story arcs, but there was no real overall kind of story. It wasn't one of those books. So I was wondering how they were going to wrap, and they occasionally gave us issues that were just backstory, that were good, too, about these Grim Reapers and how they lived their life. That were good. Like, one of the Grim Reapers was an 80s rocker. So we got his backstory. And those issues were always interesting too. And they wrapped this up by introducing a whole new character who it turns out is the main, that's her right there, is the main Grim Reaper's daughter. So this whole issue is sort of an emotional wrap up of that, our lead character, Grim Reaper, getting to bond with her daughter, her estranged daughter, and sort of explain things to her. So it was a nice little wrap up to this series. I really enjoyed it after 25 issues. And I think it was one of those that I don't think it was originally meant to be more than 6 issues, but it did well, so they kept it going. And it was an enjoyable read.
And the other one?
The other wrap up was we're taking everyone down with us.
That's a great name.
Number 6, it's a Rook spy thriller, and the Rook is sort of this James Bondish character. He's 007 with all the British on, but this whole thing was about the Vitruvian, who is a James Bond villain. He's missing there. There's the Vitruvian Man is that famous Da Vinci drawing with the guy in the circle moving his arms like this and his legs. And he's been missing for 25. And he shows up. So it's about Vitruvian, but mostly about his daughter. Who's this girl? I don't know how old she's supposed to be, 16. But the Rook finds Vitruvian and goes to kill him. And here's his daughter kicking some bad guys' asses. And this is sort of the wrap up to the story of those two, the father and the daughter. And we get introduced to the estranged mother. And then the father becomes a robot, or so we think. And then the daughter was stolen from the mother by her evil husband. And now the mother is sort of this supervillain too. And I won't tell you how the story ends, but it doesn't end well for the mother. And that's the daughter in her robot father's hands right there. So it was a nice wrap up to the story. I liked the ending, and Alistair Rook will return in the good hands with bad company. But Alistair Rook in the Rook spy thriller was really a secondary character. So it was interesting that the James Bond guy was a secondary character to the daughter of the. I guess she's going to be the new villain for the James Bond character.
I don't know. I think that the idea that the bad guys are the POV characters in the spy story is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it worked for me. It did.
Otherwise, you're just following a guy around whose job is to kill bad guys. Okay, we've seen that.
Yeah. It was a good read, I have to say. Who did it? It was Matthew Rosenberg. Matthew Rosenberg was the writer.
Rosenberg seemed to have a problem handling corporate superheroes, so I hope he's doing a good job there.
Yeah, he did a nice job here. The art is Stefano Landini. Colors, Jason Wordy. Letterers, Hassan Atsmain Al-How. So a nice 6-issue series. And the last issue, I think it's got extra pages and was late, but I'm okay with it. I'm when something's on the pull list, I'm like, I don't care if it's late or not. I'm going to get it. It's on the pull list.
62 Left of Blue says he'd love to see a big book of John Severin. Doesn't matter which one, and throw in some of his sister's work.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I think that might actually have a chance of happening too, since he's a Marvel artist in general.
Right.
But and maybe Fantagraphics will publish it.
Wilson, regarding what you said earlier about getting things from the 70s on good paper, I thought something that would be perfect bigger, and it's already big, because I'm thinking about the Marvel magazines from the 70s, and I want to see a bigger version of the Paradox story from Marvel Preview by Velma Eric. And in good paper, that thing would look awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of those magazines, because I don't know all of them. They did a lot of magazine stuff, and that would be nice to actually just get to finally read.
Yeah, another one that I'd like to see, which was written by Grunwald, was The Prophet. I think it came out in Bizarre Adventures number 33, or was it 31?
Which story was that?
The Prophet. It's one. It's one where the guy well, it doesn't kind of look that's supposed to be the Aquarian, but he's not named so that the Grunwald could retain copyright to the story. But it's the Aquarian, and it's the Earth is ending, and there are the gods are coming, and the Prophet hopes to go with them, but instead they drop a new batch of gods, and they're supposed to be it's supposed to be a celestial ship, and bringing in the young gods. So that's also Velmeric art, and I think it will also look great in good paper and with a bigger page.
So did Marvel Preview turn into Bizarre Adventures?
Yes, because one issue of Marvel Preview, which is all number 20, which is all reprints. It was subtitled Bizarre Adventures.
Right.
Even though it was a reprint issue, I think it may have sold well. And we have Chris Giarusso. Hello, Chris.
Hey,
Hello,
Chris.
Chris.
What's up,
Welcome
guys?
back.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Okay.
So that one, even though it was all reprints, I think it may have sold well, or somebody liked the title because then they did a second Bizarre Adventures, and then the title changed.
Did the first one have the woman with her jacket open with the stories in it? Do you remember that cover?
That was like the penultimate issue.
Okay, that was later on.
Yeah, Marvel Preview number 20 has a Dominic Fortune cover.
Okay.
And it's subtitled Bizarre Adventures, and it's all reprints. So I think they reprint the Dominic Fortune. They reprint something else that was also a success. They reprint War Toy, which is that story drawn by George Paris, which had appeared in Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction, which was another of the black and white magazines where they did mostly adaptations of a literary work. Remember, they even did the Day of the Triffids in issue number 1.
You know what I would like to see in big and black and white? John Severin reminded me of it. Not necessarily a particular issue, but Herb Trimpe did a lot of Western covers in the early 70s that he inked himself. And they're really nice. He did some nice I'd like to see those published at 11 by 17. I have a few of them in my Western collection. I'll have to look up how many he did, but there were some pretty nice Herb Trimpe covers. Now, I remember that was like the first time I really appreciated Herb Trimpe, because I was not, like, as a kid and in high school, I wasn't a big Herb Trimpe Hulk fan, because Sal Buscema Hulk was my era. Not that I hated it. But then I saw sometime like in high school, maybe early college, I saw those Herb Trimpe Western covers and went, wow, I really like these. Made me re-examine them.
Moving on to facsimile editions, I see that Punisher number 1 from the miniseries is getting a reprint in February 26th. Nice. Yeah, reprinting the Punisher miniseries in a new format would look good. And Punisher number 1 would also deserve a bigger size, because Mike Zeck's art on that issue is just killer.
Yeah.
Not being a big, I bought that original Punisher series. I don't even know if I still have it. I must have gotten rid of it over the years. But I don't. That's probably a facsimile I'll even skip just because. Oh, come on. Not a Punisher.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you want to read a Punisher story, that's the one. It's that miniseries. You don't need to read anything else,
except for that last issue where they had a fill-in creative team.
Here's the thing: I didn't mind. I think it wraps up nicely. I understand I only knew about the circumstances later on.
I remember being really disappointed by that issue.
I'm not. I realized that Mary Jo Duffy doing the dialogue probably doesn't sound the same, but the guy who did the art was not bad at all. It's not Mike Zeck, but he did a good job to try to make Mike Zeck's style as much as he could. So.
You weren't buying it month to month, and then you come up and you're like, "What's this?" Imagine that. You just spent the last 5 months reading this cool Punisher story.
Yeah,
then
but
it comes to the last issue, and you're like, "Huh? These aren't the people who've been doing the story. This is crazy."
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it did come out month to month. It was just sharing.
I read it month to month.
It was sharing during those months. The Punisher had replaced the X-Men on that particular anthology. And it was sharing space with Alpha Flight, and it was those issues where they fight the Great Beasts, and Walter dies. Yes, then Walter comes back to life, and his name is Wanda. That's later. And the other thing that they were publishing was Long Shot. So it was like everything to me was new and exciting. And I get the Punisher and I get Long Shot. And so the fact that it's not the same people doing the writing and the art, the didn't really register in the same way. Besides, I was 9.
Oh, I was. What year did that come out?
In the US, 85.
85.
85?
So I was 19.
So you were over it
And
by then.
I was like it was a pretty exciting series in terms of it was Mike Zeck, who I think he was fresh off his Captain America run then. It was a Punisher who was, you could call him a fan favorite character, but he really wasn't. He was he was a cool character who was underutilized.
Right.
And here they were actually utilizing it. So it was an exciting miniseries. So that that 6th issue went over like a Led Zeppelin. It was such a disappointment.
Lefty says Midnight Nation was a better book than Rising Stars. So Midnight Nation was the other of besides Rising Stars, J. Michael Straczynski had also done Midnight Nation, which was a guy who was sort of erased from reality, and he had to walk from one coast of the United States to the other.
Don't think I read that.
He would have to find some sort of apparitions along the way. That was actually a very solid story. It was 12 issues. It ends, and
Rising Stars was the one like a comet went across and made superheroes or something.
Yeah, it was the one that was gonna be the new Watchmen.
Right.
Midnight Nation is sort of a horror mystery story because the guy is like not existing while he's doing that trek across America. Mm-hmm. The other title was called Kin, and it's a Neanderthal that got careless, and he was exposed to the world. And it turns out the Neanderthals are like super scientific. It was a fun story. That one was the least brainy of all. It was a fun story to read. I guess the problem with all of that is because Rising Stars fizzled out when Straczynski didn't have time to finish the story. And the other ones had at least the benefit of ending as they were supposed to. So people who read them liked them better.
Yep.
There's a big John Severin book published a couple years ago, plus a smaller biography.
Okay.
Was it? Who published it, Donald? And Ted Clemens says, could someone explain the DC mascot type character that showed up in the letters page in marketing? He's got yellow armor and is drawn like a little kid, kind of like Chris's style. You mean Johnny DC?
Johnny DC? Didn't he have a sword in the DC shield?
Yeah, that's the only one that I'm aware of mascot-wise.
They were just looking for the mascot, and probably someone in the office came up with that. Mm-hmm. I would guess.
Yeah, because it used to be like a head on top of the logo.
Right.
Unless they did a new design of them. I don't know.
They did. It kind of looks like a blot of ink.
He probably showed up in Crisis somewhere.
The blue.
No. He became the letter page mascot in the 90s.
Ah.
So that was the new Johnny DC.
The new Johnny DC.
Okay, everybody's stuck in a lot now. So let's see. It says it's showing up in his back issues randomly a lot this week. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
getting some old comics.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know who might have had the idea. Was DC going through an editorial change in the late 90s? Matt Idelson joined.
Don't remember.
Lefty says some Jack Davies and Mort Drucker, and I'd be done collecting. Yeah, I suppose from Jack Davies, some of their EC stuff could look good on an oversized format.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Marvel series from Fantagraphics is reprinting some of that stuff in a larger format. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although there's not much Jack Davis or Mort Drucker at Marvel in the 50s.
I was just looking up for one of my students, Will Elder. Hello there, Sleepy.
You there.
Oh,
Donald
And
Rex says
Chicken
the
Town.
John Severin book was by Fantagraphics, 9x12 hardcover in color. So if you want to look it up, Jared. Fantagraphics put out a John Severin book on American Eagle reprints, and Tomorrow's did a biography. Yeah, that I knew of. I have both, but they're not that big artist edition size.
No.
No, but for Fantagraphics, 9x12 is a typical of when they do something bigger.
Yeah.
And it's good. I mean, no complaints there on
No.
the size front.
9x12.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what.
I got 3 first issues this week.
Oh, 2 last issues and 3 new.
Yeah, it was a strange week. Picked up. This is Die Loaded by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. Clayton Cowles on the letters. I guess that would be, or is he the colorist? I can't remember. Clayton Cowles on the letters. So Stephanie Hans does the color too. And it's actually a sequel to they put out another series named Die, and this is now Die Loaded. I don't know how long ago they put out Die. It was a while ago, and there were 20 issues, I think. And Die was the story of these kids who disappeared. They were role-playing. They disappeared into the role-playing game and ended up in this weird world. And then they came back as adults and disappeared again. And this is like 10 years later, and other things are happening with this weird role-playing world. And I never read the whole first series. I only read a couple of issues of it. And this first issue, a lot of it was dealing with the first series, filling you in on background through funerals and people getting together. And then all of a sudden, halfway through, it flipped and got us into this new story where one of the guys who disappeared, his wife has now disappeared into this role-playing world. And it sets up this new story. It was really done well. I mean, I usually, but Kieran Gillen is the writer, and I've bought a lot of stuff. Kieran Gillen is he's the writer on Uber, one of my favorites, amongst other things, Wicked and the Divine. And I've been buying most of his stuff over the last 10 years. I don't know how I never got into Die. But now I think I'll give Die Loaded a try because the first issue was pretty good. And let's see, the second one is not a David Lapham book, but he did layouts for it. American Caper and Absurd Ventures, Storytelling, Philanthropy, Ultraviolence. And it's by Dan Hauser. I don't know who he is. The creator and writer is Dan Hauser. Producer and additional writing, the one named Laszlo. Story layouts and pencils, David Lapham. Colorist, Lee Lowridge. And finishes, Chris Anderson. Letters, Nate Picos. So it doesn't look, since there's a finisher, it doesn't look like David Lapham's usual artwork. It looks more like this other guy, Chris Anderson, I would guess, with David Lapham layouts. So the storytelling is good. And it's really, it's this weird dark side of America story. You're introduced to this main character. His wife is getting lost in internet hate. He's got he's got a hot Mormon couple as neighbors. He's a lawyer who's in a job. He's sold out. That's him there. That's him and his wife. That's his daughter there, who's a punk rocker in New York City. And everyone's got a dark side, and everyone's a little miserable. And there's shady stuff going on in this little town. Verona. Where is it? Verona, Wyoming. It all take place in, and I enjoyed it. I just don't know if I enjoyed it $5 worth. It's one of those books where I'm like, it was maybe I enjoyed it for $4. That and Dark Horse makes flimsy comics. They make comics that I don't like physically. They don't put nice cover stock on them. So I might as much I did enjoy this. I just I didn't enjoy the physical comic itself, and I didn't enjoy paying $5 for it. I mean, just the difference. Even this is. I mean, this Image one is pretty floppy, but somehow the Dark Horse one is even floppier. And then the third one is a Mad Cave comic, Liquidator. I picked the booby cover.
Of course.
Of course, why not? And this is by Peter Milligan, who's a writer I like, and I occasionally buy his stuff. Artist is Peter Kowalski, with Peter spelled Piotr. The colorist is Brad. The colorist is Brad Simpson, and the letterer is Simon Boland.
It's probably Polish. Piotr Kowalski.
Yeah, I figure that. I just know that it's also pronounced Peter, so I go with the Americanization of it. And this is about a woman who's going through some weird stuff, and we get the idea that there's time travel going on, and it turns out the liquidators are people who are like time cops, except she's caught in a time loop somehow, which they know about, so she keeps going to different times. So they try to save her from this. It was a solid Peter Milligan first issue. I might get another issue of this and see how it is. I think all the Mad Cave stuff are 4 or 5 issue minis. But once again, I think this was a $5 issue. I don't see a price on it, but that's what I think. Yeah, $5 issue. So I'll have to decide if the next one is worth $5 to me. It all depends on how many comics I'll have that week and stuff like that. But a much better chance of getting a second issue of this than American Caper. Because the actual physical comic really does matter to me.
Lefty says he wishes DC would reprint all the Mad magazines in TPB collection, similar to how Dark Horse is doing Creepy and Eerie. That would be a very long collection.
Yeah. And I don't know if they'd make a killing.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think they would. As Eric Larson has said, the first volume will sell a lot, the second volume will sell less, and by the 6th volume, nobody will be buying it.
Yeah, especially because you don't need to. That's not how you read Mad.
No.
Yeah, and I
think that'd be a very niche thing.
Yeah, it would be niche.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying they won't make a killing off it.
You would also be asking people if they would be willing to fold in their comic in some cases, at least every 30 pages. Are you going to fold it to see the
nope, no one will let
Drucker backing? No, and it's everything in the book is dated. The humor is completely dated,
right?
Because you have to have seen that particular movie. Now, maybe if they did theme books, edited all the movie ones together, so you have a set of movies, a set of the Spy versus Spy stuff that they've done already. That is no longer in print. I guess that would be, you would kind of have to break up Mad into the sections and then sell them that way.
By the way, do you remember that Mad magazine I bought about a month ago? The one with the Great Gatsby parody in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's got a parody of the Robert Redford movie, not the book itself. And I finally got around to reading the parody of the Redford movie. And it's like every joke was about how boring that movie was. That was like the punchline to half the jokes in the strip. Oh my God, get me out of here. This movie's too boring.
Harry P says, American Caper seemed like something I might like, but I didn't pick it up.
It was pretty good. Like I said, I liked it. I just don't know if I liked it $5 worth. And that's always my problem with Dark. To me, Dark Horse Comics, except for the Matt Kint ones, where you can tell he controls the production of it and how it's going to look. And often those are better made. The regular standard Dark Horse comic, to me, are among the worst comics out there in terms of being a physical comic. They're always thin and flimsy. And that just bothers me. Which is probably why Matt Kint insists on his having higher production values.
Captain Infinity wants details about Liquidators. It's a closed loop like 12 Monkeys or Terminator?
No, it's not. It kind of is, because they're trying to. I think they're trying to fix things, and they often have to kill people. Like I think they said that her latest job. Let me see. Was because a book turned up in the wrong timeline. But what's happening to this woman now is she's starting to hallucinate and seeing herself in timelines she hasn't been in yet. So they're like, ooh, so they have to go into this room that's out of time. So she has to stay there for a while. And it's about a serial killer too. We got a serial killer stalking somebody, and at the end, he's stalking the woman who went back. But let me see if I can find. There she is in the room, the white room that's out of time. New York, 1891, and it's like I think one of the things they said, one of the reasons they're liquidators is because, like they found this book from the 20th century in 1891. And they have to go back in time and get it, and they have to kill anyone who's seen the book. So it's kind of a job that's tough to do.
And Captain Infinity says, you can't fix anything. Classic time travel blunder.
Like, there she is. They got these time blasters, I guess they are. So there she is, like, with these blasts, and say, 1,700 North American colonies. It's taken her 2 days to find the isolated house where the runaway has been hiding. Oh, where some prankster has left with a grudge has left him a fully charged cell phone. That's somebody left Nikola Tesla a fully charged cell phone. So I guess. And here's someone in 1963. A man planning to kill a loner called Lee Harvey Oswald vanishes the day before the president. So somebody went back in time to kill Lee Harvey Oswald. So she had to kill the guy before he killed Lee Harvey Oswald. But here's what stood out to me. It's weird, the things that stand out to you when you're reading it. He says, in 1963, a man planning to kill a loner called Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald was not a loner. Lee Harvey Oswald had a wife. Lee Harvey Oswald had friends. Lee Harvey Oswald, he was not a loner. He was, but I guess since they call him the lone gunman, the term lone like is associated with him. But he was not actually a loner.
Eric P says they should do reprints of Mad by year so you could get your brother, that uncle, the volumes from when they were 12 years old.
Yeah,
that might work better. But
I like using the word dad and uncle edition. Kind of a thing. Grandpa, you set whatever year, and those are the editions. And you could go through the whole family kind of a thing.
The thing is, they have to print those very close to each other to make sure that everybody who wanted their Mad would get it.
Huh.
Instead of having to wait 20 years until the next volume.
Right.
Until the volume they actually want. But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of some specific features, you probably do want the all movie issue and the all versus
I,
Spy or whatever.
I would say for just about everybody, Mad is a pure nostalgia read.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's like if your era of Mad was 1973 to 1978, you've got no interest in 1993 Mad.
Right.
Yeah, at that point, they would have to. I guess the smart way to do is you create a website and then you order what books you want, and then they print it into a volume for you. Kind of
Print
a
on
thing.
demand Mad magazine.
Print on demand.
Captain Infinity says she should relax. They're in the newly created Timeline B.
No, sorry. If you're going to have time police, they need to police something.
Yeah. Eric P says I think there was a Spy versus Spy collection in the last decade. I guess. Yeah.
You have to be a really hardcore Spy versus Spy fan to buy a collection of that. Not that I wouldn't.
And you
Right.
know what? Warner are not advertising anything Mad related.
No.
We don't
Not at
miss it.
all.
But maybe the normies found out about it. I don't know. Maybe they were selling Mad at Barnes and Nobles, and nobody in the comic shops cared. Because who the hell goes to the comic shop to get all the issues of Mad?
Not new. So the books I picked up this week, because you guys know I love a crossover.
You do.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Godzilla.
Oh, that's right. I saw that one this week. I thought of you. I was like, oh, bet Wilson's getting
So
this
the
one.
cover that I took, I picked the cover that basically looks like the animated series Turtle and the animated series Godzilla with Godzuki there. None of this appears in the interior of the book at all.
Typical.
But that was the cover that I picked out of the bunch of covers. Writer is Tom Seeley. Artist is
Good writer.
Spiro Pei. P just PE, I think it's Pei. And Tom is a good writer. The Godzilla they're picking for this particular issue is one of the Godzillas where he's a villain of the series.
Uh-huh.
So
He looks evil.
Yes, this particular Godzilla designs, he has no pupils. And he represents all the people that passed in World War II.
Uh-huh.
All the
And they're
Japanese
pissed.
all the Japanese soldiers, all the American soldiers. Anyone who passed away in World War II, their spirits are embedded in this Godzilla format. And it was like a one-shot story of the movies. So this is the Godzilla that's featured in this story, and this takes place. It opens up in the past, where you have the Foot Clan was apparently originally created to fight kaijus.
Uh-huh.
So it actually has the Master Yoshi, Splinter, and Maru Yoshi, Splinter, and Haruku Saki are all like in the past together, getting ready to fight Godzilla. So then it flashes forward to the regular time period where the turtles come in, and then Splinter talks about the history of kaijus in Japan. So it kind of sets up this particular world. And the story goes on, and they're stealing Godzilla's blood to make kaiju Jin, play on words on mutagen. And so the Shredder, Kang, and his minions are probably going to attempt to mutate people. But as the story gets going and the turtles are learning about the kaijus, King Ghidorah attacks. Now, I do not know if this story is connected to the fact that Playmates, who makes the Ninja Turtle toys, are doing a set of Ninja Turtles kaijus. So here are the various covers that I passed on. I almost got this one. This is, I guess, the regular cover itself. which is a different Godzilla they're using in there. That's the Godzilla from the Heisei era. This is the other cover I almost bought, where the turtles are being chased by Godzilla. But as you can see, I picked up the one with Godzilla and Kazuki, because the Playmate Toys commercial are using those kind of like those designs. And not only did I pick up the regular this issue with that cover, I also got the blank cover to one day eventually draw them.
How many blank covers are in your eventually pile?
We won't talk about that. But I have probably, I know I have at least 20 of them that I've bought over the years that I have stuff to do. And there's at least maybe like 5 more that I picked up that it's like I'm not sure what I was going to do on them, but I ended up with picking up the blanks in case anyone requests something in particular, especially when they're projects that I kind of known for drawing, like the Transformers and stuff like that. Since I did the card set, occasionally I'll have someone show up and go, "Hey, do you have any more of the blank cards?" And I don't, because those all sold out, but I did pick up some blank covers in case anyone pops up with that. And speaking of Transformers, I also picked up the Transformers issue number 26. Being written by Robert Kurtzman, and this is the new creative team. I think it started with issue 25.
Dan Mora?
Yes.
He's good.
Dan Mora and then Mike Spencer. Or Spicer. Interior artwork.
Thundercracker.
So it's not as scratchy as the previous artist, but it's still really good.
Yeah, Dan Mora can draw, so I'm sure his Transformers are fine.
So I'm looking forward to. And then the next issue is Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone, issue number 4. I haven't read this one, plus I think I'm missing issue 3 to read.
Any idea what that one's about?
There are 2 kids that are being chased by this guy who may be Godzilla reborn in human form.
Oh,
But I
okay.
am not exactly sure what it is. It does take place in a future where the monsters have wreaked so much havoc that the area is all full of radiation and it started mutating people. In this particular story, again, just going by the art, you have a giant girl compared to everybody else.
Huh.
But the twins, I'm sorry, not the twins, the 2 kids have been chased by a group of people. And the guy who is, like I said, I think is Godzilla in human form, has been protecting them from like a cult. But that's all I kind of vaguely remember, and I could be completely wrong about the story. But some good artwork and very interesting stuff going on. And the last book that I picked up was Spider-Man 94, issue number 3. This continues the storyline of the animated series in comic book form. That basically tells you where the characters are, and it has some flashbacks to the adventure with him and Mary Jane, which is what kind of ended the original series, animated series, ended on a cliffhanger of him having to go save Mary Jane, they didn't want to kill her off like Gwen, so they decided to toss her into like a alternate dimension type thing for him to go looking for her. That continues the story. That's my haul for this week for comic books.
All right. Some good stuff.
Oh, last time I was telling you about the those erasers, the kneaded erasers that I
Uh-huh.
got from the school. I found the box. I thought I tossed these out. So they're called Bellify is the brand.
Yeah, I've never seen those before.
And so the erasers themselves, they're supposed to be kneaded erasers. Here's what they look like.
That's how they start.
That's how they start. And they are completely hard.
Oh, wow.
When I
They're
refound it, I boiled it in water. It did nothing.
they're
And
petrified erasers.
completely petrified. I was able to break one, although I don't see the pieces.
I have never seen a kneaded
But
eraser
it was
do
like
that
it's a
before.
kneaded eraser. It's also a weird yellowy color. So I may guess they could have been open and out in the sun or stored incorrectly over heat. I don't know. I
'Cause
have
I have never
no
seen that
idea what it
before.
is. And again, it's like I try to bend it and it will, if I bend it far enough, it snaps.
Wow, look at that. It's like a piece of baked clay.
That's the only thing I can think of because when I opened it up and looked at it, the center is almost gummy. You could push in a little bit on the center, but the
Ah,
rest of it is completely petrified.
yeah, I've
So,
not seen
you know,
that
I
before.
like I said, I tried boiling it in water, maybe adding water to it, and heat might have softened it up, and it didn't do a single thing. And it was like, it's just wild that this particular brand did that.
Yeah.
You know,
Faber-Castell never has.
and I looked it up online to see if anyone had reported something similar, and there was nothing at
Huh.
all. And it was like it was just wild. It's like, all right, I don't know what happened. How again, I could only guess it had to be stored somewhere that it petrified, it cooked, baked, or I don't know, or just sat there
But
for too long.
by the way, Tit Coblin's ant comment there,
Mhm.
you should go the other way and issue stuff super small and call them ant editions, comics as big as your thumbnail. Bad Idea did that. They they
Marvel did that.
they put out a comic just last year when I was last working for them. I can't remember if it was an inch or an inch and a half tall.
I think it was an inch. I remember
Really
you talking
small.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the joke of time travel police. Our job is completely redundant.
Of course. I mean, if you succeeded, nobody will remember that you were working. I think I do have some of those mad paperbacks from the 70s, 80s around somewhere that just collected the lighter side of the lighter
Oh
side
yeah,
of or Spider Spy.
those
Hmm.
smaller
Yeah,
ones I used to have. That would
yeah.
yeah, they would do that.
Yeah, I think I used to get like the Mort Drucker stories.
Fifth Goblin asks, Chris, what's the go-to base coat for prepping remark drawings on covers? Whiteout?
I just want to point out that if Tit Goblin didn't take the week off from our show last week, he would have seen Wilson show off the stuff he just got that was recommended to him for prepping remark drawings on covers. What do
I
you
have
use, Chris?
I
Can you
have not used them
can
yet.
you see or hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Because my screen says I'm backstage and only the host can see you.
No, you're here.
you're
Okay.
here. You're
You're
on
here. We can
stage.
see you and we can hear you.
What's the question?
What's the go-to base coat for prepping remark drawings on covers?
I haven't figured that out.
Well, let's Wilson show us again his
I have not
recommendation.
tried these yet. These were recommended to me by an artist on YouTube that I watched, and this is an acrylic-based pen. This is all for one. The reason why I like this pen because it's supposed to be refillable. So it's acrylic base, white marker. Here's the refill base for it.
Is it white?
Yes, white acrylic. So I picked this up. There was another one that I also ordered that was supposed to come in from Amazon, but it never did. And then I also have these acrylic markers, brush markers that I got from the TikTok shop because it was for $1, so I figured for $1 I'll give it a try. $14 in shipping, but again, $15 for a set of acrylic markers to try out. I didn't feel like that was too bad, so that's what I'm going to be testing out.
That's a great deal, especially if they're good.
Yeah, if they're good. So hopefully they are. And these are Mulatto Fine Original. So again, this is what I'm trying. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I just got them. And as I mentioned, there was one more marker set that I was planning to get from Amazon, but for some reason I ended up having to cancel the order because they just didn't have any copies. They kept pushing the date. It was one day, then it was 7 days, and then it was 30 days, so I just canceled it. But these are the ones that I'm willing to give a try on. So I'll have to report back how well they do. But like I said, I picked these up on Amazon. So what I could do is look up the order and then give you the full name if you guys want to try it yourself.
And here, that just reminded me, I got this sample of Strathmore. These are all the brands that I think Strathmore owns, or forget who the main company, maybe Faber-Castell, but this is a Daler Rowney, and it's titanium white paint. And it's just, this reminds me of that refill there. It's just this little tube of paint, and you can actually kind of draw with it, like by squeezing the tube, and white paint comes out of it. So you might be able to use something like this too as your base coat if you don't have a brush and white paint. But I just, the refill Wilson just showed reminded me I had this.
Cavern says he uses white gouache for prepping cards and stuff.
Yeah. The problem with white gouache would be that it reactivates with water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's might blend in if you're using a water-based thing over it. Like I think a white acrylic would be better.
Yes, you did. You should not.
I just last week had a desk tour because I spent last Saturday rearranging my desk so I could fit my new Pantone markers on.
And there are Wilson's specifications for his markers. Molotov 1-for-all acrylic paint marker, 1 millimeter extra fine signal white, 1 each.
I had gotten that one, and it doesn't show the one that the order that I canceled. So, and you could get different tips, which is what's recommended. Because sometimes you'll need a fine tip, other times you'll need the brush tip. So I think the other one was going to be the brush tip, since this one was the fine tip.
All right. What are you working on, Chris? Let me get you big.
Uncanny X-Men.
Ooh, Cable. You know, a lot of people used to complain about Cable, but ever since day one, it's been one of my favorite mutants.
Yeah.
That's the first all Portasio issue. Yep. That's a great cover.
The people I've heard complain about Cable complained that they didn't like the fact that he was Scott and Jean's son from the future.
Mhm.
I think that was the main complaint I always heard about Cable, if I heard complaints about him.
In the last few years, Leffel's been trying to convince us that was the plan A all along, but it doesn't look like it if you read the stories.
Yeah, I don't. I have a hard time taking him seriously because he says so much stuff that's has so little self-awareness to it that I'm like, I don't know.
Mm.
His lack of self-awareness makes him hard to believe to me.
Mm. Yeah, I don't believe it either. If you read the first year of stories in New Mutants where he shows up, there are a lot of references to things that he supposedly did, but we never saw because he wasn't in the stories, and they don't jibe with him even being from the future.
Mm-hmm.
When Rob made him from the future already in X-Force, that was probably an afterthought. Let's make him from the future, but the other times we've seen it, it doesn't look like he came from the future. I don't care. Being from the future is cool. That's what it looks like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was Bob Harris's idea to have a Cable be Baby Nathan.
Baby Cable. Cracks me up still. I got some random cover with Baby Cable on it. It cracks me up.
If it reactivates those cards I sent you to paint on, might get all Frankenstein blandy. It will be an adventure.
No, I think they're. I used some white ink on them and they were okay.
Okay. Well, keep it away from the water just in case. Otherwise, it starts multiplying.
Huh.
Yeah.
Where are those? He's talking about these cards he sent me to draw on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it seems like there's paint on the back of them too. Mm-hmm.
But I do like Cable. I mean, the design evolved a little in the beginning because you remember the first few issues, he was not wearing a shirt under that armor.
I haven't read enough Cable stories to like or not like him. But I remember there being some interesting artists on him in like the late 90s. Landros, was that the guy's name?
Ladron.
Ladrone?
Yeah.
I remember his art being interesting.
Randy Green.
It was.
Randy Green was on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Chris's studio mate.
Yeah. The Casey Ladrone issue. I have a few issues of that, and I like it very much because it finally goes in a direction that has nothing to do with X-Force. It still uses the notion of him being from the future, but it tries to do something with the concept of the Ascani sisterhood and tries to do some mystic stuff, but it's still technological. And we have and Cable has a decent X-Men costume. It all goes.
Has Louise Simonson ever talked about Cable?
She must have. I don't remember. I've seen her talk about things. I think she has.
He would know if in the beginning, if he was intended to be what he ended up being.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know she has talked about Cable, but I didn't pay that close of attention.
I've heard some comments once about, when Louis Simonson was working with Hilary Barta, the story moved in a completely different pace, and and it was sort of the same pace that she used on Power Pack. And when Liefeld comes in, and all of a sudden you have all this paramilitary stuff, but it's not. It's still credited, written by Louise with art by Rob. But since it changes pace so much,
Clearly, Rob was doing the plotting, is what you're saying?
yeah.
I'd believe that. I know Rob liked to plot his own books.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think Wheezy would have a problem with that.
No. But you'd think it would be credited as such, especially at that point in time.
Right.
That's what's strange.
Yeah. I guess how old was, so this is still 1990, so Rob's still pretty young.
Okay.
So it probably needs some help getting it all on page. Make sure that it flows seamlessly.
It's also possible he ignored what he was handed.
There's
That's also
that.
possible. Yeah.
That's very much possible.
Right, but all of the paramilitary angle and introducing Cable, those were his ideas.
Right.
So even if Wheezy knew, she would, okay. So maybe maybe they talked so let's do a story, but like a little bit like this, and you get to do whatever you want.
Right, Wheezy could have been bright enough to adapt to whatever Rob wanted to do.
Yeah. I think Fabian was the one that wanted more credit, because Rob always refers to him as the co-creator.
Facetiously.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say reluctantly. At first, he reluctantly called him the co-creator because he didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Now he facetiously calls him the co-creator because he has to. Well, he doesn't have to, but legally, Fabian's the co-creator.
Right.
Because they need a writer as a co-creator on a comic.
It's only when in the last few issues of New Mutants, when it starts morphing into X-Force, 98, 99, and 100, that's when you have plot Liefeld. Script Nicieza.
Oh, by the way, I recently saw a TikTok of somebody showing his storage unit with his X-Force #1s in it. I am not sure exactly how many copies or how many of those boxes were really X-Force #1, but he had at least a couple of hundred copies.
Oh yeah, let's flood the market with those. Sell for $1.
I mean, it could have been the whole storage unit for all I know. I'm not 100% sure that he didn't make that clear.
This is Rob's storage unit?
In the front. What was that?
Is it Rob's storage unit, you're saying?
No. Just a random guy.
Captain Finity is laughing that Louise Simonson was called Wheezy. She's always been called Wheezy.
Yeah.
Or within the industry, it may not be in print as Wheezy in the comic books.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the comics press always used the name Wheezy. So
Walt always calls her Wheezy.
Yeah.
I
always called her Louise.
Right. Thomas co-created X-Force. Yes, he did. Right. Thomas co-created everything.
Yeah. And he'll explain to you exactly how.
Uh-huh.
I was there. It couldn't happen without me.
Mm-hmm. Dick Goblin says that J.R. Jr. Cable 2-issue book from the early 90s was great. It was. I did like it. I did like it a lot. Chunky, drafty #2 pencil style on that era of vacuum guns. Yeah. Not everybody can rock the #2 pencil like John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the name of that Phoenix and Cyclops series? Who drew that?
Scotty's son.
Scotty's son. I remember having interesting art on it.
That was Gene Ha.
That was Gene Ha?
I believe so.
Ascani Sunny's Teenage Cable. The miniseries was The Adventures of Cyclops, but it's also Gene Ha, Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Okay.
I'm sure I still have it, but I remember returning some artwork to Gene, and he sent back a little note saying thank you, and he drew a little Cyclops on it, a
Ah,
Cyclops head. I know I still have it. It's in one of my portfolios that I got to dig up one day.
Yeah, it
one of
doesn't
these
look like
days, Wilson will
an
put
X-Men
things in
story.
order.
Yeah, it doesn't look like an X-Men story at all.
No, no, it
No, not at
doesn't.
all. Not at all.
I remember it
And,
looking quite different.
yeah, and it's probably the first time I like the Scott Lobdell script.
Oh, I can't say I've ever liked a Scott Lobdell script, so
Oh,
I haven't
okay,
read a
so
lot of them.
right, but I have the thing about the regular X-Men comics at that time. So we're talking 90 after the Image guys split. So we're talking 92, 93, 94. And you notice that Bob Harris is probably with his chin glued to Lobdell's shoulder. No,
Mhm.
you got to write this. No, you got to write that. And of course, since everything was a setup for the summer crossover, there was a lot of fill-in stories that went nowhere. I always like to make the comparison to WWF because the summer crossover was the pay-per-views, and this is the syndication show where they only fight jobbers.
Let me show you my last 3 comics I got this week, which are all continuing issues. We have got Spawn, issue 270. Let's see. First, there was a War in Hell. There's a nice Brett Booth double-page spread.
I like that.
Nice.
Todd McFarlane's writing this one. Brett Booth art inks 3 inkers. Adelso Corona is inking most of it, it looks like. Steve Lakowski inks a couple of pages, and so does Daniel Enriquez. With colors, Robert Nugent, and lettering, Tom Orzakowski. And
Right.
let's see.
Daniel is the Portuguese guy who's working with Frank Miller on the new Ronin.
So first we had Hell invading heaven, and heaven having and hell in hell having wars to see who runs hell. Then we had wars between heaven, depowered heaven and hell against the vampires, and now we have heaven and hell with their powers back having wars between each other. And Spawn is now allying himself with the vampires. And Blood, Bludd. How many characters have been named Blood with 2 Ds? And Spawn now has wings that were ripped off a vampire on him and surgically attached to him. And so it's just an eternal fight between heaven, hell, Spawn, vampires. And so far, I think I've given away most of my issues between 215 and 260, maybe, to one of my students. I've been giving him 5 issues a week because he's interested in Spawn, and I'm enjoying reading Spawn once, but I don't think I'll ever go back and read him again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
How comprehensible are Todd's scripts?
What is that?
How comprehensible are Todd's scripts?
They're better. I have to say, this run on Spawn is his best writing ever. He finally learned something. I mean, you can remember me, Rory McConville was on it for a few years now. You can remember me just a few years ago reading Todd's script and saying, I can't believe he didn't learn something. He had basic English mistakes in there. Still, after writing, all this, he must be working with an editor now. Because like his writing, for the first time in Spawn's history, I can say Todd McFarlane's writing has improved. Which always amazed me that it didn't. I'm like, how can you write 300 issues and not improve? You would think he would automatically. But like I said, that last run he had, I was like, he's making basic English mistakes. How is he doing this? Like I said, he must have an editor now. Let me see, is there an editor credited? Or maybe it's just because there's a lot of Spawn books now, and he's working with more people that editor-in-chief, Thomas Healy. Okay. Because he's Todd McFarlane is creative director on all the books. So maybe finally having all these books to oversee has rubbed off on him, and his writing is actually sharpened up. I'd say I'm impressed. I mean, I'm not one of my favorite writers, but he writes a decent comic now.
All right.
Let's see. The last two are Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring. This is the one that's about the serial killer, who's it's anthropomorphic, so everybody's an animal. There's a turtle. But the twist, and in the first one, like the serial killer was kind of the hero. And in this one, she's the villain. Because this woman right here, where is she? This duck woman is trying to find out what happened to her brother. And her brother was killed by the serial killer. But so the serial killer eventually wrote her a note. Let's see, where's the serial killer? Oh, there's the serial killer right there. A female bear. So the serial killer wrote her a note, said, check out this town. And now Samantha, that's the name of the serial killer. Unbeknownst to the sister there, the serial killer is driving her around town to help her find clues to find her brother, who the serial killer killed. So I got to assume this. The first issue, someone compared to, what was that French movie that was remade with Keith Sutherland, where he lost his girlfriend and the serial killer who killed her said, "Get in the trunk of this car if you want to find out what happened to her." Said that this story had that vibe, and it definitely does. It definitely has the vibe that as soon as she finds out that the person leading her around is the serial killer is going to kill her. So, and then the last one I got this week is the Power Fantasy issue 13, the start of a new story arc. And if you want to read the Power Fantasy and you want to see some action, this is a good place to start. Because this is the one that's about a world with superheroes who are Omega powered. And if they fight, millions of people are going to die. Well, the guy who was doing the most to keep them from fighting just got shot off into space. So now they might start fighting after this. Really good issue. Once again, it's Kieran Gillen, Casper Wingard, Clayton Cowles, and Ryan Hughes. And if you remember, this is, once again, I mentioned Kieran Gillen also writes Die, which, like I said, this is another of the Kieran Gillen books that I really like. So I'm not quite sure why I never got into Die, but this is excellent. This has been excellent. Definitely worth a read. If you like sort of the minutia of superhero and thinking about superhero stories deeply, this is a good read.
Captain Finney says, John Romita Jr. was decidedly unimpressed with my inks over his pencils in the Marvel Tryout book. 85. Man.
Wow.
How old are you then? Kid Goblin says, he's from Alberta. It's a surprise he can't even read and write, bud.
The Vanishing. That was the Vanishing, yeah. It's really giving me some Vanishing vibes now, though a little different in that the woman doesn't know the serial killer is her guide. But yeah, definitely a good round volume 2 of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, which is a reference to him killing these people in the woods. Good stuff.
Is there a potential for a volume 3?
Yeah, I assume so. As long as the serial killer doesn't die, sure. Why not?
Cool. I think it's kind of unsettling that they're using funny animals for
It is. When you see, because when you see the actual blood and violence, it's really strange.
right, because you know, and we're used to seeing that on Mouse Guard, but Mouse
Yeah,
Guard is epic,
right.
and when it's epic, you don't mind the gore and violence.
No.
But this is supposed to be an ideally small town scene.
Happy-go-lucky.
Yeah,
Look at all these cute, fluffy animals ruin their lives. Being hung upside down and their throats cut and their blood drained out of them is like, ooh.
yeah. I mean, I remember I made the mistake of buying Mark Miller's Unfunnies.
Ha, ha. I
But
never
that was
saw that
unfunny.
one.
Yeah, you're not missing out.
Huh.
And the thing that was more upsetting was Mark. You're he wasn't phoning it in, but he was doing things just for laughs.
I call, like I said, though I like some of Mark Miller's writing, I call him the master of the master of the expected.
Mhm.
You don't get twists, except in the Magic Order, that first miniseries. You got I was like, a twist. He's giving us a twist. He telegraphs his moves, but if he's got a good artist, like in that super Frank Quitely,
Mhm.
he can pull it off. Like the Jupiter's Legacy that he does with Frank Quitely is one of my favorite superhero books. But there's no twists in it. It's all straightforward. You can see it all coming, but it's pulled off well.
Yeah, I bought the Reborn, which he did with Greg Capullo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, when people die, they go to a mystical land where everything is, well, they all become super powered, and it's sort of mystical, and they're fighting bad guys, and the bad guys are fighting them, and it's sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons Valhalla. You die and you go to D&D Valhalla. And yeah, it's everything that's expected of the story, but it's fun, and Capullo's art is very good, so
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
Like in Jupiter's Legacy, telegraphing his moves is part of the story. It's even like you're like, oh, I know what's coming. He's building anticipation for what's coming by letting you know what's coming, kind of thing.
Right.
They even have one of the characters say, what was the line? Because have you guys ever read Jupiter's Legacy?
No.
It's a story about
No,
a
I know
group
of
of
it, but
superheroes. There's the older superheroes, they're like golden age superheroes, and they're kids who would be like the modern superheroes or whatever. They've been around for a while, and they've been around for a while on Earth doing what they can. They're sort of like the Justice Society or something like that. And there's like two brothers are the main guys. And they're both old. They look like they're in their 60s, but they could be even older than that because they got superpowers. But the one guy was finally like, you know what? We should take over the Earth and run it, because we can run, because we've just been putting out fires our whole lives. And the father was like, the other guy was like, no, we can't we got to let people live their lives. We can't just take over every country. So it's absurd. We probably couldn't even be able to. So, and then their children were like party animals. They were, they were disappointments to their parents because their parents took care of everything. They couldn't live up to their parents. So the one brother decides he wants to take over. So he's got to take out his brother and all these other people. And like the daughter of the main guy who'd be like Supergirl kind of. The daughter of the main guy is like this party girl drunk or whatever. And so the brother manages to take over everything. And he recruits the supervillains, and you're either on his side or you're in jail. So or dead. So he recruits the supervillains to his side. He recruits all the heroes he can, and he hunts down all the other heroes, takes over the country, and the son of Superman is the guy like running the US now. And meanwhile, his sister, the drunken daughter, is now with her boyfriend and little son running and hiding. But of course, the second volume is exactly what you'd expect. It's about all those, the daughter and her son and her husband getting their act together and kicking the ass of her uncle and all that. And there's one line where this this woman who is like, all the super people are just trying to hide. Meanwhile, the guy, this villain who's now in charge of tracking them down, is tracking them down. And he tracks down this one woman who can grow to a giant, tracks her down, captures her, throws her in jail. So meanwhile, as things start going bad for the bad guys who are trying to run the world, you see this super prison where the giant woman is too. And they're like trying to figure out what's going on. They're like, oh, this, we got some super activity in Australia. What's going on? This guy, something's happening. And once again, they telegraph their moves, but it was a great line. The giant woman's like, yeah, that means that the daughter has gotten her act together and she's coming for you. So that's, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. He's telegraphing that's exactly what's going to happen. But Frank Quitely and he pull it off beautifully. So it's like, it's one of those moments where you're just like, yeah, you get a lot of, kick their ass moments in the story that are, superhero moments that you like. So even though, like I said, he's telegraphing his moves.
Is he telegraphing anything, though? Does he telegraph anything? I just want to know if he telegraphs anything that he
everything telegraphs it. Chris doesn't like me getting excited. He's got to bring me down. Look at him. Trying to ruin my excitement.
It wasn't clear. It just wasn't clear. I just wanted to clarify.
One day we're going to have to
get excited.
One day we're going to have to explain to anyone millennial or younger what a telegraph was.
That's true. It's funny. That word is still out there, but
Yeah, even though nobody knows what a telegraph is.
That's like the only context you hear it in, too. Literally.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
Or maybe in a boxing match.
Yeah. There's this guy. He's on Portuguese TV, but I've known him for a couple of years on Facebook, and he's a linguist. And I've seen a couple of videos where he explains the origin of some expressions and how the original meaning of the word, even if you know it, you don't use the original meaning of the word. You just use it on the secondary context.
There's one. I don't think he hasn't shown up in my For You feed in a while. He's just one. Once again, he's a linguist, and he goes through especially pronunciations of old words. And he's got this rather odd way of talking where he really enunciates everything when he talks. I find it fascinating just the way he talks. It's like, and then went for the aw sound of the this, and then transformed into this, into the ooh, into the and I've watched a lot of his videos over the years, but I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, there's one I see. He does videos on history, and he also does, and on his secondary channel, does videos on language. He's Italian, but he's been living in America for years. He was a teacher of English in Japan. His name is Metatron, and he's gone over how Latin language has evolved from Latin, and why is French so weird. There are a few videos out there about why French is weird, because there are some rules on how to write French that have nothing to do with the way that that the original Latin pronunciation was. That has nothing to do with how the other Latin languages still use the letters originally. And it's sort of a vowel shift similar to what went on with English. That it was, but in the French case, they were just making pronunciation more economic, using fewer sounds. But the original spelling stayed. So that's how you get all those weird ways to pronounce vowels in French.
Yeah, I know English is weird because so many other languages ended up in English. Kind of, they're like takes from everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So
one example is the world that comes in relation to a king. So there are three ways to say it and write it in English. The oldest one is regal, which comes from rex, which is the Latin word for king. The second one is kingly, which comes from Saxon, because king is a Germanic word. I guess the original Celtic word for a king does not apply. And the third one is royal, which also comes from Latin, but comes from Latin through Norman French. Because royal is a version of roi, which is French for king.
I heard this once too in English. All our words for animals are from like Old English, and all our words for the meat that comes from animals are French. So a cow in beef, what is it? A lamb in mutton. It's like we don't call the animal the same thing as we call the meat from the animal.
Right.
Because, like one is English, one is French.
Right, because the farmers would handle the animals. The Saxon farmers would handle the animals, and the Norman, the Norman aristocracy would eat the animals.
And all our like curse words come from England, and all our polite words for the curse words come from French. I can't even think of it. Like the 7 dirty words you like. Fuck is only English, and fornicate is French. It's like that. There's something like that going on there too, because French was the language of the aristocracy in England for hundreds of years.
And even by the time William the Conqueror had taken over England, Norman French was already disassociating from regular French. And even regular
feces.
Yeah, right. Feces comes from Latin. Almost.
Yeah, there might be another one in there that's French. I can't remember. There's so many.
And the other thing, French was spoken only in northern France. In southern France, you would speak Occitan, or also known as Provençal. Provence is in the south of France, where the Riviera is. The French Riviera is in Provence, Côte d'Azur. But in Occitan is related to Catalan, which is the Latin language that is spoken in Barcelona, because they don't speak Spanish there. If you go there and you speak Spanish to them, they will answer you in Spanish, but they don't speak Spanish among themselves. They speak Catalan.
Catalan.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of a publisher too?
Yeah, Catalan Communications. Yeah, I guess they got the name from. No, there was a Catalan publisher in Spain around that time, I think.
Because that's who I bought like a lot of European comics from in the early 90s. Catalan Communications.
Yeah. One thing that Metatron insists on saying about in his videos, when he insists on saying about Latin, is that there's no such thing as vulgar Latin. There's the written Latin was a formal version of Latin that was only used ceremonially. But it was not something that was spoken by the high classes. The high classes spoke like the low classes.
Right. For those who don't know, the story we've often gotten is vulgar Latin was spoken by the people, and high Latin was spoken by the aristocracy or the rich folk, right?
Which is bullshit. What you ended up with was that there's an evolved form of Latin called ecclesiastical Latin, and that was spoken among the priests, but that was only after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. So it had nothing to do with any regular form of Latin that was used in Rome. It was sort of, I wouldn't say it was made up, but it evolved only among the priestly class.
Their own secret language, ubby-dubby language.
Yeah.
That's what we learned on Zoom. The TV show, not the app.
Right.
Come on, a Zoom, 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 Zoom. Did you ever watch Zoom, Wilson?
I did. That was like, I was more Sesame Street and Electric Company, and Zoom was like right after those two.
A little too old for you at the time?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was like, now it's time to change the channel. It's like the fun stuff is over. And then, it would start, and then maybe you would sit there and watch it through. I don't remember any episodes. I only remember clearly the theme song and what was going on and the kids calling out their names and stuff like that. But what actually happened, it didn't stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Goblin posted something about Sesame Street's anniversary this week on Facebook. And I commented, and I mentioned something that Sesame Street arrived here when I was like 9 or 10, and in spite of its educational programming, it sort of became more famous with preteens because it was sort of the first thing that we would watch. Ironically, we had no concept of watching things ironically before that. So you have a bunch of 10 to 12-year-olds watching Sesame Street ironically. so the songs got famous, and all the songs were translated. And I saw and one of the songs is particularly famous. It's almost attained meme status. It's I'm proud to be a cow.
I don't remember that one.
So and because of the other ways we use cow in the language, it becomes funny.
Did they have to translate the alphabet song?
Yeah.
Witches.
They didn't do all of the songs. Like I know there's like 3 or 4. I know there are like 3 or 4 skits with Roosevelt Franklin, but they only did one.
Roosevelt Franklin Bar Elementary School.
Yeah.
Do you remember the alphabet song, Wilson?
I do remember the alphabet song. That's when Big Bird went to school.
Yep.
And he read it as one whole word.
Right.
I do recall that one.
The way that the puppets interacted with the live actors was different, because most of the skits with the skits with puppets were translated from the original US broadcast. The new live action scenes were filmed, so they would have to build puppets specifically to interact with the humans. So they only built 2. Big Bird, who is colored orange here,
right?
And they did a brown version of Oscar the Grouch. He doesn't live in a trash can. He lives in a sort of barrel, which is a bit wider, and he doesn't collect trash. He's more like a hoarder. So he goes down to to the barrel and pick something up.
But I knew there were different big birds. Each region had their own personal big bird, and I think the lore is they're all related to each other. They're cousins. And I wasn't aware that Oscar was also changed. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
and Oscar's original color, by the way, is orange. He's only green because he never bathes. And so the sewer is what made him green. But the first appearances of Oscar, he's orange.
Of course, the greatest Sesame Street moment was 10 Boston cream pies.
Yes.
I don't remember that one.
It was a counting thing where they had counting this and it ended with 10 Boston cream pies. And there was this like chef-looking guy at the top of the stairway with 10 Boston cream pies in his hands, and then he falls down the stairs.
Was it Boston cream pies and not coconut pies?
I think it was Boston cream, but I could be misremembering. I haven't seen it in so long. Could just be cream pies.
They ended up doing a few interesting things because the guy who was the game show host, Guy Smiley, right?
Guy Smiley?
Yeah. Okay, so they used our most famous game show host as the voice of Guy Smiley. So they adapted the name to match his name as well. And the guy then had he went to jail. He had a thing for younger kids.
Now I'm hearing it as coconut cream pies, so I don't know which one's real.
Coconut custard pie?
Is that what it was?
More familiar. It may be. I'm looking it up, but it might be. He might change it for each number.
Well, each number was a different thing, I think. I can't even remember what the other ones were. It climaxed with...
Number 10 chocolate layer cake.
Ted Goblin
or
says
just everyone who's saying it don't remember the exact.
Yeah. Ted Goblin says he always thought it was odd that his Sesame Street came from Detroit, Michigan PBS in the CBC Canada, which had a whole different content that they hated. That 10 Boston cream pie guys, the dude who threw your book down the stairs.
That's right. That artist edition cover.
Yeah, we had a lot of the Bert and Ernie skits. Grover was also a fan favorite. We didn't have Elmo. We had
Elmo was after my time.
Elmo was a newer monster, so to speak, as they were going.
Yeah, I never saw Elmo.
Yeah, we had the Telly Monster. The Cookie Monster used verb forms correctly in Portuguese. We had like 3 or 4 years of Sesame Street, and by the time they were showing the 4th season, they started recycling the puppet skits. And then it was like 10 years later that Sesame Street came back, but now nobody watched. And by this time they were showing Elmo. They renamed some of the characters. They had new voices. So if you watched the first version and you went and watched the second, it wasn't the same. Although I suppose it's not a good idea to have 20-year-olds watching Sesame Street. You're not the target audience.
Huh.
Yeah, Ted Goblin says, I tried watching the new Netflix. I lasted 2 minutes. It's all just Elmo stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have other characters. You can use them.
Huh. Not if you want to do it on the cheap.
Yeah, I also like the two-headed monster.
So what it is that each number from 1 through 10 is a different cake.
Oh, okay.
So the first one's is a wedding cake. So it's just one big cake. So as he goes, that's why we're misremembering what were pies, what were cake, what was
Yeah.
So I constantly remember the coconut cream pie.
I just remember him falling on the last one.
Yeah. Well, he falls on all of them.
Oh, he falls on all of them? Okay.
From each one of them, yes. I'm thinking he falls on a. He starts with a wedding cake, and it falls apart, and then he falls down. Yeah, and then the second one's 2 chocolate cream pie. So he falls each time.
Ah, okay.
He sings what he has, and then it just ends with him falling.
All right.
And it was Jim Henson who did the voice for the baker.
Falling
Alex
cakes
Stevens.
Good stuff.
And Alex Stevens was the stuntman.
The only king I bow down to is the Alligator King from Sesame Street.
I don't remember.
The Alligator King had 10 rings, singing which one of his kids will get the crown after him. And each one of his kids was kind of like was either lazy or greedy, and his final child was the only one that asked, "How are you doing?" Because he kept falling or something. He was like in pain or something like that, and that's the child he decides will be the new king. Was his youngest daughter, but I don't remember the full story. But that was a cartoon.
Don't remember him at all.
We also had no Mr. Hooper's That episode.
You didn't have that episode?
No, we didn't, because we didn't use the human figures. The sketch with the
okay, right.
We had it. Although the guy who was who was closest to Mr. Hooper on the Portuguese show, he was the first to die in real life.
Oh man, I've been yawning all show.
Yeah, we're so boring talking
that's
about.
That's what
Sesame
happens
Street.
when you wake up accidentally at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, with the thunderstorms I've been having, I'm sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a night.
Oof, that's rough. Rough.
Yeah, yesterday I went to bed I wanted to go to bed early, so I went to bed before midnight 30. And just as I'm about to lie down, thunder.
Kaboom.
And right here on my backyard.
No.
I don't have a backyard, but it's like,
if you did, there'd be thunder there.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we'll be on my channel next week. Mm-hmm. On my channel next week.
Yes.
We still have another week between us and Thanksgiving, right? Because Thanksgiving's on the last Thursday of the month this year. I think it's like the 27th or something.
I guess by that time I'll have.
I believe so. Yes, the 27th.
Yeah. We have a couple weeks to go before Thanksgiving.
But I suppose, yeah, I'll host that one, right? On
the
28th. Yeah.
That'll be yours.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do the show alone because you guys will all be in a food coma.
I'll be passed out on the floor. I can't move.
Too much turkey, too much stuffing.
The tryptophan has got to me. Paolo, when is your Thanksgiving?
When we win the Soccer World Cup.
Thanksgiving. Thursday.
All right. So let's wrap this up.
Okie doke.
So that Chris can get on with work instead of listening to us yap about Rob Liefeld in Sesame Street.
I've been working the whole time.
And me saying telegraph too many times for him.
And you didn't say it enough. I just wasn't sure.
He didn't want to telegraph that he was using telegraphs. Okay, everybody.
All right.
See you next week.
Everybody have a good one. Woohoo! Punch it in.
Take care.
Punch it in.
Yeah.